right before that top 10, let's go ahead and announce who kind of just missed our cut. I have the Texans on the outside looking in, the Steelers on the outside looking in, and the Broncos on the outside looking inside.
Okay.
All right.
I had the Texans missing by a lot. Like I went
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
I went to 14 teams and I didn't even get the Texans on there.
Yeah.
So um the Broncos, I think they're gonna make the playoffs. I hope they don't actually, because I want the Bengals to make the playoffs, but I think they're
Yeah.
gonna make the playoffs because Kansas City's said that they're not playing their starters.
Yep.
But hey, Carson Wentz ain't no slouch. Carson Wentz might go for 400 and 4 touchdowns. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't think that would surprise anyone. Um,
Right.
I have the Bengals just missing out, Steelers, and then
Yeah.
the Buccaneers. Although
Yeah.
they
Yep.
came out and smashed the Panthers,
Yep.
just missing out. So
So right before we went live, the only thing we revealed to each other, which if you can't tell from the podcast, when I say I'm not sure where you're going for the doghouse, we don't discuss where we're going for any of the awards of the week or the power rankings. We discuss where we were on 10 and 1, just to kind of see where we're at. Sounds like we're in lockstep for those at least. So 10, we both have the LA Chargers just making inside that top 10, correct?
yep, I got the LA Chargers 10 and
Yeah.
6. Incredible year. Smashed the Patriots.
Yeah.
Um, doubled the win total. Justin Herbert has played phenomenal this year. I don't care that they're not asking him to do much. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Uh, I guarantee you this, people would much rather have Justin Herbert and going 10 and 6 than Joey Burrow and missing the playoffs, even though he's passed for, you know, 40 touchdowns and a million
Yeah.
yards. So just shout out to him. Herbert looks fantastic. He's super talented. And Lad McConkey is the truth. So
Yeah.
shout out.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. When it comes to the Chargers, they kind of went for a lot of our power rankings, they just kind of went under the radar, and then they kind of like were barely sneaking in and then out and just kind of hovering around to just a missed cut. So to finally see them in there and kind of solidify at this point. I said to you before this really started that the 9 and 10 spot were kind of the ones that were movable for some of the other teams, especially what happens next week. It kind of all depends on where we place our final rankings for the year. But yes, I'm right there with you at that 10 spot for the Chargers. At the 9 spot is actually the other LA team, and it's going to
Yeah,
be the Rams.
let's go. Lockstep.
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be. You were just saying it, I'll on one hand, you 1 week you're looking at the Rams struggling at the bottom, and then all of a sudden we're looking at the Rams kind of dominating a lot of the teams and making it in. Now, last week obviously wasn't a dominating performance against the Cardinals, but the point is they won, and they won against a division opponent. I've said it multiple times. I don't really care about the division one on ones when it comes to most of the divisions. Um, and a low scoring, what was it, 19-13, 19-3 type win, whatever it was. I don't really care about that. That's perfectly fine. The defense, 13-9 was the final score of that Cardinals game. At the end of the day, the defense for the Rams is looking pretty good. We already discussed that defensive line and how good it is. And the secondary is good enough to keep up as well. So Matt Stafford's still doing his thing. Puka Nakua is an absolute monster. Um, and the offensive line does enough to keep Matthew upright. And Kyron Williams is a beast too. So he's doing his thing back to back years. And I think they deserve that 9 spot, making it into the playoffs.
Yeah, they've won 5 in a row, 6 of their last 7. And they've actually won their last 3 games despite not scoring 20 points. So
Hmm.
they are finding ways to win despite the offense. And I don't think anyone's actually worried about their offense. I think they
Yeah.
could come out and drop 30 any given night.
Hmm.
So the Rams, man, they're one of those teams where if I was, I guess, Philadelphia would play Green Bay and the Rams would play Washington. I don't know. I'm taking Washington in that game, but still, you don't. Oh, that's a home game for the Rams though. I don't know. We'll get into playoff predictions next week. But
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, I wouldn't want to play the Rams right now. It's just one of those things. There's
Yeah.
always that team that's in the playoffs that's kind of funky, and it just is one of those teams that you wouldn't want to play. So,
Yep.
shout out to the Rams. They somehow ended up 10-6. Might end up 11-6. That's just
Mhm.
crazy to me. And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Right there with you. What about your number 8 spot?
Um, I have the Packers at 8.
Okay. Were you contemplating your 7 and 8 still?
The thing about it is that the problem I have with the Packers is they haven't lost much of these. They haven't lost these games by much. Um,
Right.
their 5 losses, I think, are by like less than 25 points or something like that.
Right.
But the problem is all 5 of those losses are playoff teams. That's so
The
it's
top
like,
3 teams in the NFC.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you lost to the teams that are better than you. What does that mean that you're in the upper echelon? And when we're talking about the top 8 here, we're talking about top 4 or 5 teams. We're talking Super Bowl contenders here. These teams can
Yep.
make it to the Super Bowl. And the Packers, um, they just, because the thing is if you look at the advanced stats too, like their EPA, they're top like 6 on offense. Their
Yeah.
defense is really good, which is shocking
Yep.
because their defense was trash last year. But they're smashing the shit out of mediocre teams and then losing closely to the really good teams. But
Yep.
eventually you don't lose those games, right? Like eventually you're going to win that game. And Matt LaFleur, hell of a head coach. Jordan Love, prone to throwing interceptions. I don't know. I'm excited to see what the Packers can do. I mean, to be honest with you, I hope like there's an earthquake and all the NFC teams fall out and it's just AFC teams in the playoffs. I know that's not possible. I don't want any of these teams to win. But
Right.
you know, I got the Packers at 8.
I have the Commanders at the 8th spot. Um, Again, another discussion that we had right before is I feel like my 8th spot's pretty solidified. My my 6 and 7, my 6, 7, 8, I would say, even the Commanders. I feel like a lot of those can be kind of shuffled around depending week to week because a couple of these teams have played each other, and they've been good games. The Packers know how to make a good game, and again, just like you said, the head coach is phenomenal. That's kind of why they're right above the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels has been great. He just led a team to an overtime win, but it's against the Atlanta Falcons, and I don't think you should be in overtime against the Atlanta Falcons. If you're a team you're that good, you're the number 1 team in or you're the number 2 team in the NFC East. Uh, I don't feel like you should be kind of scrounging for scraps against the NFC South.
Agreed.
So that's kind of where I put you at the 8th spot right there. I believe in Jaden. I believe in the team. I think they are a good team. I don't think they're going to go all the way. I don't think they're going to get super duper duper far. Um, but they're good enough, and I don't think it really fucking matters to me
It's
because
already a fucking super
yeah,
W for the Commanders. So
they
you're right. It
they
doesn't
shouldn't
matter.
be here. They should not be here at all. So,
11-5. They could be
yep.
12-5. The Commanders 12-5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
so
so
they're my
funny.
8.
It's so funny about that bet that me and your dad made. Shout out to him. Ruth Chris dinner was delicious. Thank you. Uh, I was so certain that the Eagles were going to be good that we made that bet, but he was so certain the Commanders were going to be good that we made the bet. It's funny because we were both right. We just didn't expect the Cowboys to be dog shit. So,
Yep, yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great way for me to win the bet. I'll take that every year. So, and ultimately the 49ers beat the Cowboys again this year. So our season was a success. That's all that really mattered. Shout out to the Falcons, man. I told you at the beginning of the season, I was all over Jaden Daniels and I was all over Adam Peters. I
Yeah.
told you this is a legit organization. It's
Yep.
going to be legit going forward. And the people in the comments, oh, they got a young roster. They shoot and go all in. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're 12-5. You don't think that maybe trading for a wide receiver could have helped right now, or trading for an impact, edge rusher could have helped right now? So
Now they did
I
make a
don't.
move for Marshawn Lattimore, so they did make a move.
The dude's played one game. That's true. That's true. But well, it doesn't matter how many games he's played if he's going to be healthy for the playoffs. If you see
Yep.
Zach Ertz made like $1 million the other night because he hit like he hit all his contract stipulations for touchdowns and receptions and stuff, and it was his
Uh-huh.
mom's birthday. Shout out to him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
the I don't I don't I don't I don't hate. Do you have the Packers at 7?
I have the Packers at 7. That's why I kinda talked
So
about them. Yeah.
we're flip-flopped on them. I don't hate that. Um, I don't think that the Commanders can beat any of the teams in front of them. I'm also not a big believer. None of these regular season games matter. Nothing that happened. This Vikings Lions game, in my opinion, doesn't matter for when the playoffs come around. The Bulls beating the Chiefs, the Bills beating the Chiefs doesn't matter when the playoffs come around. Now that would be impressive if the Bulls beat the Chiefs.
Zach
Um,
LaVine over the top.
yeah. So regular season games don't matter once the playoffs come around, but I don't think the Washington Commanders are talented enough to beat any of the
Yeah.
teams that them. So the 7-8 spot seems right. I don't have any disagreement on that.
Let's continue to see if we're, in lockstep, or if we start to shake it up here. At the number 6, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, let's go. I'm so in on that. Let's go.
We're at the
That
point
I'm excited about that because that just means that you're giving the Eagles the respect they deserve, and I love that for you.
I feel like we're at the point right now where we know what the problems are with certain teams, right? Each team you can pick apart and you go, "This is the problem. This is the problem." You know, with the Ravens, it's, "Hey, your secondary is kind of bad. We should probably fix some of that." And that's weird because Marlon Humphrey is out here with like 6 picks and Kyle Hamilton's the best safety in the league. And so,
And Nate
uh,
Wiggins been good too.
yeah, but you give up a shit ton of yards. Now, is that now a product of your pass rush not being good enough, and the opposing quarterback can hold on to the ball a little bit longer, and corners can't hold forever? So there is a part of that, but there's clearly some type of issue there on the defensive side of the ball. We know the problem isn't going to be Lamar Jackson. We know what he is. We've got to see what he's going to be doing inside the playoffs this next year. Obviously, a lot of pressure on him, and a potential another MVP coming his way. We'll have a little discussion about some of that in our work predictions later on. But yeah, they're at the 6, the 1 through 5. I feel like pretty solidified. They're really good teams. You know what they are. We know what they do. The Ravens are just sitting right outside of that. They've had a couple of bad losses this year, um, including the Raiders very early in the season. They've lost against the Browns in our division, so that's another one of those ones I'm not really going to put a whole lot of stock into. But they have had bad losses, so they said the 6, just right outside that top 5.
Which one of us is going to go back and watch the schedule prediction podcast so we can hammer that out and see where we were at?
Oh, I think we only did the AFC side. We got
Oh,
caught
did
up
we
with
miss the NFC?
we missed the NFC side, but the one thing I remember about the AFC side is I remember a couple things.
Oh,
Uh,
bro, how do you have the Steelers winning 12 games?
yeah.
Stuck it, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
so the Steelers are definitely, on that list of teams that we didn't have really going in, and they've been pretty good, so
This offseason, bro, I'm gonna be more confident on the bullshit. The stuff that I just put out there that I'm just like, I'm confused why I think this, but I'm just gonna go with it. I wish I had hammered the Will Levis nonsense more in the offseason because he was a treat this year. He's
Oh,
losing his
yeah.
job, but he was fun as hell to watch.
Right, absolutely.
It's on Will Levis is like he goes to bed every night wishing that he could wake up the next morning and be Baker Mayfield. Like Baker Mayfield's his idol. Not
Yep,
Patrick Mahomes, not Josh Allen, not
yep,
Drew Brees. He wants to be Baker Mayfield. That's
yep.
Will Levis's goal in life. The Ravens are 5-2 against the current AFC playoff teams, and they have a plus 100-point win differential in those games. They are the opposite of the Packers. They are kicking the dog shit out of um, the AFC playoff teams. And to be honest with you, I'm all in on Josh Allen. I love me
Mm,
some Josh Allen. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Ravens scare the shit out of me. If I'm the Chiefs, if I'm the Bills, we're gonna make a playoff prediction clearly, and hell, if I'm, I don't know what I'm gonna do with AFC. I'm gonna have to really think about it. I feel like however these playoff games go, if they played another 10 times, they would just be different every single time. Like, the
Yeah.
way this is all gonna shake out is I'm just so excited. It's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Where'd you go with your number 5 spot?
With the number 5 spot, I slid in the Fly, Eagles,
Oh,
fly.
okay.
I got the Philadelphia Eagles at 5. Um,
So I'm
the
guessing
only reason
I'm curious to see where we're at with 3, 4, 5.
Well, the thing about the Eagles is Hurts is hurt. Hurts is hurt. And Pickett is hurt. They're starting some guy named Tanner this week, like, and I know that might just be for to keep the players healthy and all that stuff, but Hurts is a mobile quarterback. He's a running quarterback.
Yep.
To be dealing with a concussion going into the playoffs is not great because
Mhm.
one bad hit in the first quarter of the first playoff game could change things. And then you got Kenny Pickett, who the Cowboys made him look like an all-star. He's not exactly known to be stable as a quarterback, and now he's dealing with
Yeah.
injuries also. So, um, if he was completely healthy, they'd probably be a little higher, but because of the injury concerns, I am going to leave them here at 5.
I see 4 and 5 as the same type of team. I'm gonna say both of them. My 5 is the Minnesota Vikings. My 4 is the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're very similar type teams. Um, one with their starter, you wait for the other shoe to drop type thing with Sam Darnold. The other one with their starter being injured. Um, what surrounds what is the Philadelphia Eagles with their entire team, their offense, their offensive line, their running back, obviously, their entire defense, I think is incredibly talented and enough to carry them up to that number 4 spot. The Vikings, I feel pretty close to the exact same way. Um, whatever we want to say about the Cowboys or not, the past couple of weeks they've at least played competitive football, and then the Eagles, what 41-10 is what we ended up leaving out on it.
Milestone.
So it is that's where we end up going with, and that's with Kenny Pickett in. I don't know if you can hear the leaf blower right outside my door. For some reason, they never blow the leaves.
It's because we're talking about the Cowboys and they blow. So
I know. That's what it is. It's not that hard. There's not that many leaves out there. So it's I'll go ahead and continue though. But so the Philadelphia Eagles put up 41 points, 41-10 against the Dallas Cowboys. Again, whatever we want to say about them, they've played piss poor the entire year. Past couple weeks, they've at least played competitive football. Whether that's to the detriment of them or not, to not be inside the top 10 of the draft anymore or whatever. Um, the point is they played really good football past couple weeks. The Eagles just put a trouncing on them and put a stop to the entire thing. So that's why they're at the 4 spot. Vikings are at the 5 spot. Now, if they can beat the Lions head to head, I'll definitely move them up pretty significantly. So,
A and just so you know, I don't know why you're trying to give your team some weird ass form of credit. It was 41-7. Y'all didn't score no 10 points.
all right. Well, I
Okay.
expected. I always had 3 because Brandon Aubrey. It's a conscious thing.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually because I had that bitch on my fantasy team in the other championship I was in, and if he'd made the field goal, I would have won. So, no, Brandon Aubrey, you suck. Not as bad as Jake Moody, who is the 5 worst field goal kickers of the league this year, apparently.
Yeah. Right.
Um Yeah, bro, I'm not with you on this one. The Minnesota Vikings are gonna have the bye and the number 1 seed in the NFC this year, so I can't put them at 4. I gotta put the team they're gonna beat, the Detroit Lions, at 4 because
Wow. Okay.
the Lions are hemorrhaging, bro. The 49ers rolled out, uh, you and me at tackle, okay, Debo Samuel at running back, and Ricky Pearsall, who's got a bullet hole in his chest, and dropped 34 points on them this week. That is not great. Their defense doesn't look all that together put together, and I got some serious concerns, which is too bad because I want to see them win the Super Bowl. I want the
Yeah.
Lions to win. Matter of fact,
There it is. Yeah.
I'm up. I'm up on the Detroit Lions this year. I want to see them win. Uh, you know, this hat cost me more than my Devontae Adams jersey did, by the way. Favorite story of the football season. Um, I want to see the Detroit Lions win. I think that's an awesome story for Jared Goff, local kid. Well, I guess not local anymore because I live in Utah. But I I like everything the Lions are about. I love Aiden Hutchinson. I wish he was healthy. I
Yeah.
love a lot of their defensive players. I wish they were healthy. I just don't think that they have enough. And so I have them at 4 because they're going to lose this week to the Vikings.
Um, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm with you in the terms of I get the line of thinking. The Detroit Lions are gonna be I don't know how they're gonna be addressing the corner position, in this offseason, because they drafted 2 corners in this last draft, 1 in the 1st round, and then 1 a little bit later on in Rakestraw. Uh, so I'm curious to see how they exactly address this cornerback position because I know that's kind of a big, point of contention. I'm not really worried about the edge rushers or anything like that. Aiden will come back. Those numbers will be driven back up again. Hopefully he's the same person. Because we love Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know anyone who hates Aiden Hutchinson except people in
Vikings
the
fan, maybe?
anyone in the NFC North. Maybe outside of that. Um, but I have the Detroit Lions higher than that. I have the Kansas City Chiefs at my 3, and then I have the Lions at my 2. Um, I'm guessing the Vikings are at your 2,
I got the Chiefs at 3.
and the Vikings are at 2.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't
so we're
I
on
don't
the
know
same
why
place with the
I don't
Chiefs.
know why I got the Chiefs at 3. I don't know why I got the Chiefs at 3 because they only lost one time and they lost to the
Yep,
number 1 team, and it's
yep,
Patrick Mahomes, who, uh, I don't know if you know this, is not a Pro Bowler this year, and neither is Trent McDuffie, so they're probably pretty pissed off right now.
yep,
So good because it's not like they needed any more, bulletin board material going into the playoffs.
yep,
But I have tried so hard this entire year to disrespect the Minnesota Vikings. I've tried.
yeah.
I have tried. I thought we were going to smash them in week 2, and they whooped our ass. And they went backwards early this year. Sam Darnold was struggling in their defense. And I told you, up, Sam Darnold, the tape's out. And now Sam Darnold is just 3rd in passing yards, 5th in passer rating. He's 4,000 passing yards this year. That is fantastic for Sam Darnold. So good that the Raiders are going to give him $100 million. Um, I, I gotta put Vikings at 2. I've tried to disrespect them all year,
Yeah.
and the time has come to just give them. Now, hey, this may look super irrelevant in a couple of days if they lose to the Lions. I just don't think they're gonna.
Yeah. I'll definitely be putting them at that 2 spot if they win, here in a couple of days. If not, depending on how the performance goes, they might be sitting at the same spot for me.
What are
Um,
they gonna do this offseason, man? What are they gonna do with Darnold? What are they gonna do?
man, I don't know because you and I were both not the biggest JJ McCarthy guys. We weren't sitting here pounding the table for JJ McCarthy specifically. Um, he sat at what, the 5 or 6 spot for most quarterback rankings, behind Caleb, Drake, Jaden, Penix, like, and then you could have a conversation about JJ McCarthy now at that point, or Bo, Bo, then JJ. It kind of depends on how you saw him. So, you and I were both not super about pounding the table for him. So, do you risk it and give Sam a contract, and then now you just have JJ kind of just sitting back? Kind of depends on how his injury heals, obviously, whatnot. How many years do you give him? 3, 4 is probably what he's gonna want, a 3. Um, you could probably risk it on a 3, have an out in the 2nd year. I wouldn't be opposed to that. If the Vikings went out this offseason, sign Sam Darnold to a 3-year contract with an out in the 2nd year, um, I wouldn't be super opposed to it. I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be up in arms. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they were let go because, JJ's sitting right there. But again, we're talking about JJ. We're not talking about any of the other like 4 or 5 quarterbacks that were ranked higher than him.
I just think if JJ could just have like a Bo Nix season,
Mhm.
And people severely underrate, in my opinion, as a professional idiot that talks on a podcast, the fact that he's had an entire season in the weight room, in the team meetings, learning how to be an NFL quarterback,
Yeah.
looking at Sam Darnold and what he has done, and the level up that gives him going into next year. And if he could just have a Bo Nix style season and then you save that money and you go, I mean, you already got JJ. You already got, another great number two wide receiver. I don't know if you bring Aaron Jones back next year, what your plan is there, obviously. But you could go spend a little bit of money on the defensive end. That defense is already really good. You got an excellent head coach when it comes to the offensive scheming. I just don't know if it makes sense for them to bring Sam Darnold back, but instead of
They're saying
hijacking his podcast, maybe we'll go into that later.
yeah, they're currently saying real quick, $76 million in cap space for the 2025 offseason. So, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 most in the league. Yeah,
The tough thing is, I think like there's really not like a high price, like a high touted defensive free agent this year. Like I think it's probably, I don't know how you feel about Khalil Mack or maybe DJ Reed for the New York Jets, but you know, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. There's not much on defense that they could add, but fuck it. Maybe they just go sign T. Higgins. How are you going to stop that?
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
that's wild. They could sign. If they go sign T. Higgins, they could get Ben DiNucci a quarterback, and they're going to be
Right.
successful.
And then just finishing it off here, the Buffalo Bills are both of our number ones.
Who?
The Buffalo Bills,
Not the Browns.
the Josh led, you know, Josh Allen led Buffalo Bills. That's who it is.
You know what, man? I'm not going to recreate the history. We've talked about it time and time again, but I Josh Allen came out this year with a chip on his shoulder, and he did the damn thing. So,
Yeah.
did you see that touchdown catch that Amari Cooper had?
Yep.
That freaking oh my gosh, Amari Cooper is so good.
All right. Let's move off the power rankings.